So Brian Stelter, this is this potato clown guy that's on CNN. He hosts a show called Reliable Sources, and this is their Sunday news recap show. And I kid you not, I've always been sort of a student of the media, of TV and politics. I always loved all this stuff. Even, really, it started when I was about 10 years old. I sort of remember when I was sort of into this stuff, and my dad would be watching these things, and I would be watching them. And it used to be, Reliable Sources, used to be hosted by a guy by the name of Howard Kurtz, who now is on Fox News. But it was basically like they would talk about like what's going on in the media, what are our blind spots, can we do something better, can we really hold power to account? And Howard Kurtz, I thought, did a pretty nice job doing it. And he does a similar show, if I'm not mistaken, on Fox these days. But anyway, Brian Stelter took over from him, I think it's probably about 10 years ago or so, something like that. And Stelter's just awful. If you want to just see like the type of person that's just part of the machine and just wants to like suck up to all of the worst people constantly. And when he thought things were horrible under Trump, now the same things happen under Biden, but we don't talk about them anymore, or we somehow obfuscate them, or whatever it might be. Well, first, just listen to this question. You're going to get the answer from Psaki, but listen to the question that Stelter asks Psaki. Here's clip one.
What does the press get wrong when covering Biden's agenda? When you watch the news, when you read the news, what do you think we get wrong?
Well, look, I think some of our muscles have atrophied a little bit over the last few years, and there isn't a lot of memory, or recent memory, or longer memory on how long it takes to get legislation forward, or how messy the process of negotiating and the process of getting legislation across the finish line can be. So we understand everybody's always looking for a deadline, a timeline, things like that. But at the end of the day, our focus is on getting these bills across the finish line, doing it in a bipartisan way if we can. And we certainly recognize that can be messy along the process. So I don't know if that's the press getting it wrong. I'll leave you to the critique of that, Brian. But I think sometimes we forget how strange the last 4 years were. And when we return to a place where democracy is working, where we're talking with Democrats and Republicans, where we're trying to get bills and legislation passed.
Yes, when we return to a place when democracy is working, when we're all blowing each other constantly and nobody is saying anything remotely close to true. I mean, forget her answer. She's just the worst. But his question, what does the press get wrong? Why would you ask the press secretary that? That's the person you're supposed to be challenging. That's the person who is the face of the White House every day out there with the press. That's the person you should be asking all the most incisive questions. That's the person you should be asking all the most pressing questions, that you should be pushing and prodding to get to something closer to the truth. And he's saying, what does the press get wrong when covering the Biden agenda? That is the worst sort of, they literally, Stelter is basically a puppy who wants a cookie. That's all he is. He's a fat little puppy who, some puppies are, he got into the cookie jar too much, but he's just down there like, please, can I have another cookie? Can I have another cookie? That's, yip, 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 I want a cookie. All right, if you didn't think that was bad enough, then Stelter asks Psaki, because she's known to speak truth, he asks her about truth.
Journalists who watch what you do, what's your advice for them about trying to stay close to the truth in this world of lies?
Well, I think what I try to do is stay grounded to the facts, and what I mean by that, the details, and what we can help provide publicly to clarify context, to make it more understandable to the press, to the public. And sometimes it's not more complicated than that.
Oh, Lord, give me the strength. It's only Monday. Forget her answer. She just says words. Like, it's just word, noun, adjective, adverb, okay, boop, bop, bop. She's just saying nothing, but that's her job, to say nothing. But asking the press secretary about truth. You, Stelter, you're one of the prime purveyors of lies. You push the Russia hoax, the Covington kids hoax, the Brett Kavanaugh hoax. We can go on and on about the lies that you push every week. Then there was this other thing last week, speaking of Stelter and his network CNN, where Jake Tapper said that he won't have liars on his show anymore. And he was talking about a couple Republicans who were defending Trump, over election stuff a few months ago, that he's not going to have these liars on his show anymore. And then, what's her name? Stefanik. What's her first name? Elise Stefanik, I believe, who is a congresswoman out of New York, I think maybe Staten Island, if I'm not mistaken. She posted screenshots, it's actually spectacular, of Tapper's people asking her to come on the show at the same time while he's saying he's not going to talk to these people. They're all liars. They're liars, and it's as if they're like laundering the lies with each other. So you get Stelter talking to Psaki. It's his job to lie. It's her job to lie. Let's all launder the lies together, and we'll all lie all the time. And as I quote all the time now, the Solzhenitsyn quote, we know that they know they're lying, we know they're lying, they know that we know they're lying, and they continue to lie. Well, it's just going to keep going, people. It is just bananas.